Apologies for the late video. I was working on Sports Grid all night covering the Monday night game. Due to the schedule, I'll be covering in-game live every Monday and Thursday night for the NFL action. The video might come out early Tuesday, depending upon if I can get it out prior to me going on air. So I apologize. If you want all the breakdowns during the week, I'll be breaking it down on Carver and Lisi Wednesday and Friday nights. Also, college football today, every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll have you locked and loaded. It's going to be a rapid-fire video in regards to the picks, 7 picks. I'll put them up on the website. And again, you can hit me up on Twitter at GoForThe2. I'll be on all week on Sports Grid breaking down the top 25 battles. So it's very SEC heavy. Let's jump right into it. LSU, first conference game going up against South Carolina. Shocking. South Carolina and Shane Beamer 2-0. They got the victory on the road in Lexington as a 10.5-point dog. Lenora Sellers and that offense looked pretty good. They forced turnovers as well and got the road win over a gutty Kentucky team that plays typically very well in Lexington. Now they come back home. These teams haven't played since 2008. LSU walked through the motions again, struggled with Nicholls State, pulled away in the final 10 minutes of that matchup, did get the double-digit win. But again, this team hasn't played a complete game, certainly not week number 1 against USC, and certainly not last week. It is a road game, and I think they get right in regards to the spot. We talked about the series perspective. LSU has dominated. The teams haven't played since 2008. LSU does hold a 19-2-1 overall mark against South Carolina. We talked about Brian Kelly, typically on the road or on a neutral field site, has basically a 670 winning percentage over the past 7 seasons. In this type of spot with a conference game, I think Nussmeier and LSU cover this number fairly easy. They pull away in the second half and do cover the 7.5 on the road in Williams-Brice. Big matchup, Georgia, top-ranked Georgia, going up against Brock Vandergriff and Kentucky. Kentucky, very disappointing home game last week. We talked about it against South Carolina. Georgia dominated but did not cover the 50-point number last week. They now go on the road. Georgia has dominated the series. They've won 14 straight. They dominated last year 51-13, I believe, laying basically 14 points in that matchup. Huge night for Carson Beck that threw for 250 yards in the first half. They shut down Ray Davis and the rushing attack last year in Athens. Critical stat, last 4 times in Lexington, the Wildcats have covered. They've lost those 4 games by an average margin of defeat of 10.2 points per game. They're catching 3 touchdowns and a field goal, 24 points. I don't think they win, but I think they're within the number. Saturday night, crazy atmosphere in Lexington, top-ranked Georgia, road whites. The jerseys are going to look amazing, but I think Kentucky can grind it out, get it into the fourth quarter, and somehow, some way, cover the 24-point number against the Bulldogs. Big battle, Missouri, Boston College. Last time these teams played, I believe it was 2021, went right down to the wire, was almost an overtime thriller. Now Castellanos, Trayshawn Ward, that rushing attack of Boston College is 2-0. They go on the road to face Brady Cook and Luther Burden. I think it is a speed advantage. This is a tricky line. 16.5, 17 really has me buying into Boston College, but I just can't do it. I think it's a sucker's line. I really do. I would lay it with Missouri in this matchup. I do think they hold the speed advantage. I think they jump out early. I think Boston College wants to run the football. I think Missouri wants to push tempo, score first, and force Castellanos into a higher scoring game. If they jump up early, could be lights out. I'm going to take a shot and lay the 16.5, 17 with 6th-ranked Missouri going up against 24th-ranked Boston College in that battle. Another SEC battle. You got Connor Wegman going on the road against A&M. He was one of the top-ranked quarterbacks in college football last week, 92% quarterback rating, this, that, and everything else. And we talked about how pathetic Billy Napier and the Gators were. Langway got in last week. They pick up a 45-7 home win over Samford. Now Graham Mertz comes back. He'll get the start. I believe Napier, obviously on the hot seat, but will have a quick hook with Graham Mertz if he doesn't step up. They're catching 4 points. The fact that they're at home, I'm going to take a shot with the Gators. I don't believe in Connor Wegman. I don't think he's a big-time quarterback. I want the points with the Gators at home. We also talk about Florida. Basically, under Napier, he's got 12 wins, 10 of them have come at home in Gainesville. I'll take a shot plus the 4 points with the Florida Gators. Another matchup, dog. We talked about TCU week 1 struggling with the mobility of Stanford's quarterback Daniels. Now they have to face KJ Jefferson and that high-powered offense for UCF. UCF can run it. Penny Boone, RJ Harvey, him, and the mobility of a 240-pound quarterback in KJ Jefferson. I actually think that's the difference. Great game in Fort Worth, low spread, 1.5, but I'm going to take a shot. I actually think UCF is a sleeper in the Big 12. I did pick them and Texas Tech. Texas Tech is dead to me after last week's performance in Wazoo. Unbelievable that they got blown out in that matchup. That's a different story. Give me the Central Knights plus the 1.5 points on the road against the Horned Frogs. Another matchup, Oklahoma State. I was on them. If you listen to college football today, I liked Arkansas and the physicality of the offensive line of the Hogs. I thought they can run it with Jackson and that heavy offensive line. They did just that, should have won the matchup. And now Oklahoma State faces off against Tulsa. Oklahoma State got the win. In some books you covered earlier in the week, they were a 7.5 point favorite, ballooned up to 9.5. I liked them on college football today. Arkansas plus the 9.5. They get the cover. Now Oak State plays Tulsa. I think they'll make some second defensive adjustments. Did not like the way they played. But again, Tulsa more of a finesse team. Oklahoma State has owned them in regards to the series. They have dominated the last 10 meetings. I think they dominate again. Heavy dose of Ollie Gordon. Heavy dose of that offensive line. I'm still not sold on Oklahoma State big picture in regards to them winning the Big 12. But in this game, laying 20.5, I'm going to lay it with the Cowboys in this matchup. Last dog. It's a Big Ten SEC battle. You got Luke Fickell and Wisconsin taking on Jalen Milroe and Kalen DeBoer. That was a pitiful first-half performance for Alabama. Offensive line struggled with UCF. Back-to-back years, they have struggled with UCF and Byron Brown. That offense was actually moving the football as well in the second half. They had Alabama on life support before they gave it away. Alabama pulled away in the second half. They now go on the road to Camp Randall. I'm not sold on Tyler Van Dyke, but I am sold on Luke Fickell. Biggest game in Camp Randall since he's been there. This is why you got Luke Fickell to potentially take this team to the promised land. Biggest game, 16.5 point spread. You give the edge, obviously, to Milroe and Alabama on the road, but 16.5 in Camp Randall. I got to believe Ches Malusi and that offensive line can maybe get this game into the fourth quarter. Maybe Alabama wins it 28-21. It's one of those ugly Wisconsin type of games. If the game falls on Tyler Van Dyke, they're definitely not going to win and not going to cover. But I do believe in the physicality of the offensive line of Wisconsin, and I believe in the rushing attack as well, with Phil Longo calling the shots. Give me whiskey plus the 16.5. There are your 7 picks. LSU minus the 7.5. You got Kentucky plus the 24 against Georgia. We're going to go with Florida plus the 4 against Texas A&M. We're also going to go Wisconsin plus the 16.5 against Alabama. UCF plus points against TCU. Also, we're going to go Oklahoma State minus the 20.5 in regards to Oak State minus the 20.5 in Tulsa. And the other favorite I like is Missouri laying the 16.5. So there you are. We got 3 favorites or 2 favorites. Let me go down them again. LSU plus this minus the 7.5. We have Kentucky plus the 24 points in regards to that matchup. Florida plus the 4. Missouri minus the 16.5. Wisconsin plus the 16.5. Oak State minus the 20.5. And UCF plus the 1.5. I'll see you on Saturday.